Let me take you back to the eve of the 20th century. Two extraordinary sisters, driven by compassion, defied the norms of their time. Alice Berry Graham and Katharine Berry Richardson, also known as the Mercy Sisters, cared for Kansas City's most vulnerable children, including African American children, at a time where many other hospitals would turn them away. During an era when only 1.3% of physicians were Black, the Mercy Sisters fought for equity. They aimed to train and empower Black physicians, challenging the status quo. Their legacy and fight for equity lives on in the heart of Kansas City, Children's Mercy. We aim to continue their legacy here at Children's Mercy Research Institute by creating a toolkit for underserved and historically marginalized groups into careers in healthcare and research, named Bridging the Gap. This project is very important to my partner and I as we just graduated high school, both interested in careers in medicine, but having limited resources and assistance during our high school years. My name is Sarah Sidigi.
And my name is Taiwo Ah. On this graph is an example of the lack of diversity in healthcare. The blue line represents the percentage of Black people in the United States, which is about 12%, and the orange line represents the percentage of Black physicians, which is around 5%. This graph is just one example of the lack of diversity and highlights the cause and the problem why it's so important, mainly because it impacts two main stakeholders. On one side are the students who lack the resources they need to pursue a career in healthcare, and on the other side is the healthcare industry, which lacks color in the face of medicine.
So as you can see, we've gotten a lot done regarding our project. We've completed and discussed steps 1 through 4, and of course, discussed feedback on how we can improve along the way. Step 2 took weeks of dedication because submitting our project to the Institutional Review Board, or IRB, was a 40-page document that took 2 weeks of emailing for full approval. In addition to that, our city training and Children's Mercy onboarding process also required 2 days of full attention. Despite the delay in our timeline, we still took it upon ourselves to gather as much resources for our toolkit as possible. Looking ahead to step 5, we expect our website to be published within the month, and we're excited to share it with other community leaders and school partners.
In order to keep our project user-centered, we used a mixed method study. We conducted surveys for high school students to fill out in regards to their feelings towards our toolkit and resources they'd like to see in it. On top of that, we conducted surveys for educators just to gain a teacher's perspective. In addition, we interviewed Children's Mercy faculty and staff to have more insight on how they got into their current fields and resources they wished were available to them. Our results show that the top three resources our participants would like to see are 1, different career road paths, 2, how to apply for local scholarships, and 3, how to pay for college. Getting that together, my partner and I created this toolkit, Bridging the Gap. On this screen is a prototype of what our website, Bridging the Gap, would look like on Children's Mercy website. Here you can see is a header for high school students and undergraduate students, which is not currently on Children's Mercy, Bridging the Gap. Here you can see some extracurricular activities and also resources that our interviewees and those we surveyed said they'd like to have, including resources such as applying for scholarships, how to appear for interviews, and etc. Here are some also extracurricular opportunities they can apply for.
Overall, our solution is novel, useful, viable, and feasible. To begin, it's novel because Children's Mercy would be the first children's hospital in the nation to release a toolkit for this niche. It also highlights local opportunities and scholarships so that students have access to this on a local level. Continuing, it's useful because our website is free to use and accessible, whereas many other websites would require payment to view their information. Next, it's viable because our website has already been approved for Children's Mercy. And lastly, it's feasible because our website is timeless. It can be easily and regularly updated. As for some 3 main takeaways, we want to emphasize the continuation of the Mercy Sisters legacy. We also want to emphasize how there's currently not enough resources for underserved and underprivileged kids. Lastly, we hope our toolkit will combat the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action. This is why we're asking for $2,500 in financial support. In front of you are some brochures about what Bridging the Gap would look like, and although we only have 10 of those printed right now, we would use that money to print and distribute them into area schools. Along with financial support, we're hoping for mentorship as to how to better market and advertise for our toolkit, because the more kids that have access to it, the better.
Lastly, we'd like to thank everyone that helped us create this toolkit. Pictured here are our interviewees and our mentors who helped us throughout the whole journey. We'd also like to thank Children's Mercy Hospital faculty and staff, the whole ProX organization, and our coach, Dynasty. Thank you, and at this time, we'd like to take any questions you may have.